Wake that ass up
Early in the morning.
The Breakfast Club.
Morning, everybody. It's DJ Envy, Angela Yee, Charlamagne the Guy. We are The Breakfast Club. Good morning. Now, what, about 4 or 5 weeks ago?
No, it wasn't that long ago, was it?
About 2 or 3 weeks ago, maybe?
Yeah, it wasn't that long ago.
May, I think
June?
it was May. But anyway, a couple of weeks ago, we got a call from Alex, AG Entertainment out in Atlanta, and said he had some people that wanted to come up and talk about what's going on overseas.
Don't even attempt to say their names because you're going to mess it up.
I'm not.
Okay.
That wasn't my, that's why I'm setting it up. In Ethiopia. So we did the interview, and it was a mixed response. Some people, mixed response. Charlamagne and I really don't know what was going on, so we were trying to bring up people to discuss what was going on, and we took a picture with their flag, and some people was like it was fine, and some people were mad at that, and then Charlamagne got a phone call.
Mm-hmm. From the homie Tiffany Haddish. Mm-hmm. And, you know, the father of the late, great Nipsey Hussle. I'm not even going to try to pronounce your name either, Pops. Because I'm
Dawit
Askadom.
Mm-hmm.
Dawit Askadom. And, you know, they was putting me on to some things, so we have them up here today.
To talk about it, exactly
Absolutely.
what's going on.
Mr. Askadom brought some people with him.
Mm-hmm.
What's your name,
who do you have
Queen?
with you?
My name is Ladette.
Ladette?
And I'm from D.C.
Okay.
Ladette, and I'm from D.C.
Mm-hmm. And you, brother?
Simon Tesfamariam.
Okay.
Yep.
So what's really going on between Eritrea and Ethiopia?
Actually, Ethiopia and Eritrea just signed their peace deal about 3 years ago, and this has been probably something that Ethiopians and Eritreans have been looking forward to have these two nations form peace and work towards the betterment of their country. So in regards to actually what has happened, it's actually positive that we're actually moving to a...
What was the war about? What was the fighting about?
That's
before
going
the
on.
peace treaty. Mm-hmm.
That's going on right now, or before?
Both.
Well, before, Eritrea was trying to gain her independence, rightfully for the historical context that was there. So now that has happened, and then there was a war between Eritrea and Ethiopia after independence, really because of disagreement between the ruling party at that time and the Eritrean government. Right now, that has been squashed, and brotherly, sisterly love has occurred. But then we have another conflict that's going on right now, which is in Tigray, northern part of Ethiopia. And that's what we're here to talk about today.
Mm-hmm.
Did we do anything wrong in that interview? Was there misinformation during that interview we did a couple
that's not from us. That would have been from...
I'm just asking because
Yeah.
people were mad at us. They said we shouldn't have been holding the flag. Like, that's why I'm asking. But did we do anything wrong? Was there any misinformation in that interview at all?
Yeah. I think something that we have to set the record straight about is that flag is of the TPLF party, which stands for the Tigrayan People's Liberation Front. And basically, the war that she talked about, the war in Somalia, the war in Eritrea, the chaos that has been just sowed in Ethiopia for these last 30 years is a result of TPLF. And that flag represents that front. And so basically, the conflict today is a result of what they have done. So when they came on and you mentioned misinformation, we should go further and say disinformation. Because what they did is you have activists from TPLF actively telling people online, let's go out there and lie so that we can get a humanitarian intervention in Ethiopia, in Eritrea, in the name of the Tigrayan people. This is not for the Tigrayan people. This is to save TPLF, which has terrorized the region, which is literally a terrorist group. And so, and by the way, they're documented as a terrorist group by a database, the Global Terrorism Database, which is financed by the Homeland Security Department here in America. So truly a terrorist group. And the thing is that they've worked to maintain the U.S. ruling class interest in that part of the world, which has destroyed Africa, to be honest with you. Wiped Libya off the map, destroyed Somalia. You can go down the list, country after country. The things that they have done have just, been horrible. So they found a partner in the region named TPLF, that was willing to sell itself because they're a minority regime. So when I say minority regime, 6% of the people are Tigrayan. Good peoples, ancient history. Everybody should know about them. Many ethnic groups in Ethiopia, 80 of them, they're one of them. They only represent 6%. But TPLF is even less than 6%. I mean, they represent an elite bourgeois sort of group that has robbed the people blind. So I'm talking, they've stolen 2.6 billion a year from the Ethiopian people, while their own people in Tigray were living on food aid. 1.5 million people depend on food aid. So my point is that TPLF has been a nightmare for the region. They started this conflict. We can get into the details and all that stuff, but they've been pushing all this propaganda because they lost the war in 3 weeks. They were knocked out. It's like, imagine somebody is talking trash to you, and then the second you say, they step to you, you just punch them in the face and they get knocked out, and then just start running into the crowd and saying, hey, you're against the crowd. You're against the whole community here. Mm-hmm. No. They are against the people of Ethiopia, the people of Eritrea, and for fear of talking on too long, I'm going to leave it at that because really this is what needs to be clarified.
No, take the time. Take the time to explain. I need to know. So
I just want to say the
what country are we banned from?
Time.
Are we banned from anywhere for holding that flag up?
No. This is
but it was
misinformation.
that came last
This
week.
is what the misinformation that people maybe they was complaining.
Mm-hmm.
TPLF at the beginning was helped by Eritrea during the revolution when they started, because Ethiopia was under the control of Haile Selassie, and then after that by the military government. So Eritreans believe that the Tigrayans, since they are oppressed people, they will be able to help all Ethiopian nationalities together to solve their problem. So no ethnic group, no. That is the beginning. So later on, they had a hidden agenda. The hidden agenda was, instead of, historically they are Ethiopians. They cannot be separated. They are Ethiopians, but they oppressed Ethiopians like other oppressed in the region. So they had agenda to help Ethiopians to be together, united, for the benefit of all Ethiopians. But their hidden agenda, 1986, I believe, or in the 80s, they want to be independent from Ethiopia. They to create a nation, which is impossible.
Right.
So, but the reason they did that is they want to be helped by Eritrean. By lying, they say going to be in benefit of Ethiopians. And then later on, they completely changed their idea, and we helped them to get in power in Ethiopia. So they become the ruling party. After that, they took all the money, they took all the benefits, all high positions, they put their own region, and they start making division between Ethiopians so they can fight, divide and rule, divide all the regions together, Amhara, Oromo, and everything. So this, when you divide and rule, divide and control, that's where the Ethiopian people start revolution. And when they start a revolution to overthrow them, they start killing them, they start torturing them, they start doing all kinds of crime. So the people uprised. So all Ethiopians, almost they was in the brink of failed nation.
Mm-hmm.
But the people, after they rise, they elected the Dr. Abiy, which bring the peace. And then he brought them together, and then they start moving. They make a peace with Eritrea for the first time, and they start also create peace in the Horn of Africa. This, they didn't like it. So they want to get back to power by helping by superpowers or other who have interest through them. They're just running dogs. So that's why they went to the what you call it, the when they were shooting
The Northern Command?
National Defense of Ethiopia.
So it's basically like saying, someone from a region like New York just goes and attacks its own Air Force base or,
Wow.
National Defense Force. And that's what they did. On November 3rd, they attacked the National Defense Force of Ethiopia, which is located in the northern part of Tigray, and in the hopes of returning to power. So remember, they were in power for 27 years, controlling Ethiopia, dominating the economy, everything, and stolen and embezzled millions and millions and trillions of dollars, really, because we're seeing the money floating around in D.C., where I'm from, and all the lobbyists are being paid by them to create all this news on a daily basis about how they're being victimized when they are actually the ones who have abused Ethiopia and the rest of the Horn Africa with the power and money that they've embezzled for the last 27 years. So basically, now the fight is not really about people to people. It's about dictators wanting to come back after 27 years, after the people have thrown them out. And it's a sad situation because news articles and Western media is putting it like there is, genocide and there is rape and there's this going on and this, and Africans are killing each other and raping each other. But that's not what it is. What we really need to understand and stand up
Just
for
talk a little closer to the mic so we can hear
is really understand and stand up for is it's dictators who are being supported by the Western powers to basically loot their own countries. And this is like Black Lives Matters Africa, because why are, dictators who are like thugs like this, who steal money, who dictate, who kill, murder their own people to stay in power, being supported by big, Western world countries? Why are they? Because they become the running dog for their errands because the people don't like them.
Why is it not in the press as much? Because we don't see anybody talking about it, or nor do we see it, hear it, nowhere.
So what you hear in the press is a lot of it is about victims, about people being killed or people being raped, the chaos that happens when one basically is a terrorist organization and one is the government that are trying to protect the citizens and protect the country. You see a lot of the news talking about what's happening to the people, but you don't get the story behind it.
Right.
So actually, for us who follow this stuff regularly, there's an enormous amount of news coming out every day, more than we're typically accustomed to since November. And a lot of the news is just straight disinformation. In fact, it's a joke. I mean, it's a serious matter, but it comes down to a joke because they're saying there are massacres, right? And then, for instance, we'll have like the massacre that took place in Aksum, a historic city in Tigray. On November 29th, they said that there was this massacre of 750 people. Ever since then, or the thing that they don't tell you is that the very next day, they had a huge festival that's broadcast live on national TV, where they're saying everything is great and all is well. But if you read the reports on what came out, then they said that there was the stench of death in the air, that there was mass grave, bodies were being awaiting to be put into mass graves. So how do you have the very next day this type of thing? I mean, I can go down the list. There's so many different things like this. You have in another example, there was a massacre, a so-called massacre in an area called Dangalat, at a church, Mariam Dangalat. And what they said was that there was 250 people roughly that were killed. And you have on CNN journalist Nima Al-Bagr, who right now is leading an EU-US discussion on this issue to bring R2P to Eritrea, which is responsibility to protect and basically war on Eritrea and Ethiopia. She says she has a CNN video where they're testifying what actually happened, and there's this villager on camera. Well, what she doesn't know, actually she does, but she ignores, is that there was the full length of that video if you look, the villager is actually being coached and saying, some number for how many people are killed. And then the guy's like, no, say some other number. And then the guy like changes the number, and it's just like right in front of your face. It's so blatant. And we approached Nima El-Bakr, and she just ignores this. CNN ignores this. And this is the mainstream narrative because they want to ramp up a war against African people. If you are about Pan-Africanism, if you believe in black people worldwide should be standing up and have dignity, self-respect, national sovereignty, if you want them to come together in an alliance that actually, where we can be proud as African peoples worldwide, you have to stand with Eritrea. You have to stand with the peoples in the Horn of Africa. You have to stand with Ethiopia and Somalia as well, too. Somalia is rebuilding itself again. So everybody should have their eyes on this part of the world and should be saying no to any type of intervention that they're talking about against Eritrea or Ethiopia or Somalia. I think, honestly, when we talk about resistance and we talk about the history of African resistance, I think our brother Dawit, Nip's dad, he can tell you everything he's fought for and all the stuff that's gone on, connecting yesterday to today. That struggle, because he was there in the streets, as you saw, and his photo was manipulated. It was taken wrongly last week or whenever the interview was, saying that he supports this, or they suggested that he supports this. No, he does not support what was said in that last interview. And you will see from his own voice what he believes, what his son believes, believed, and basically it's about sovereignty, it's about self-reliance. How many times has Nipsey talked about self-reliance? So I'm hoping maybe he can speak on this.
Yeah, I see the TPLF for the first time. Actually, TPLF is a terrorist organization. The reason I'm saying that is, let's say they use, the sympathy. They need a sympathy, and they use massacre, rape. Any human being in this world, when you hear that, beginning with me, I don't care what country. If you hear child has been molested, if you hear atrocity has been happening to rape, all these things, the first thing that comes to your mind is this shouldn't be happening.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why they use this game to get a sympathy from the rest of the world. So I would say to them, everything that you've seen, everything that they created is just like a TPLF version of Universal Studio. All the fake things happen where? In Universal Studio, and they make us believe. Right? That's exactly what they did. They created in the studio, they did this, and then they distributed to the whole world. So who else? Everybody's going to say, this shouldn't be happening, including you guys over here. That's why you brought them. This is happening here. This shouldn't be happening. And then they was prepared to lie to you guys and to lie to the rest of the world. But the truth always, it might take time, but the truth always come.
That's right.
Yeah. So that's what we are here to make sure that, the truth should be coming out.
So when you hear people, claiming there's genocide and violence happening in Ethiopia, and then there's other people claiming that the stories are fake and it's all propaganda, as outsiders, how do we determine the truth?
Yeah, it is the problem is, I've been living here a long time. So people, the family, the majority of American people, they're trying to feed their family. They're trying, two families, they go to work. They leave their children with a babysitter and everything. So they don't have no time to go watch TV. Mm-hmm. And even if they watch the TV, there is CNN, the big thing, and then they are associated with the corporation. They don't want to let people, hear the right, true story, what's going on. So they are linked with the government. They are linked with the corporation, so that the people make them busy to run their life. So all they come and see 6 o'clock in the morning news, and then briefly they tell them this, and then there is a gatekeeper. If their government, they don't want to be broadcasted or be known what's happening in the world, then there's not, they won't let them know. So they have to research and go to other media to get their information. So that's why they are misinformed, and that's why you have to do your own research to get the truth. But like I said, the reason is they're keeping us busy with our life to put the food in the table. So we just go on with it.
I want to follow up with what Pop said. So on your question, do we have atrocities? Right now in 2020 in the U.S., we had 19,000 people killed of firearms. This is some serious stuff. You know what I mean? You don't hear the Western media constantly talking about 19,000 people have been killed because of gunshots. So, just like that in Ethiopia, is there atrocities happening right now? Absolutely. Are there people being victimized because these people want to come back to power, and these people are not going to benefit the people that are, the poor, innocent people that are down there that they're sacrificing. So yes, there's obviously, when there's chaos, there's looting, there's rape, there's, people being caught up in between. So yes, obviously there is. But is there propaganda to escalate that situation, to exaggerate that situation so that somebody can get a leg up is the question. And that's absolutely right. And what's frustrating to me as an Ethiopian American is when I vote for my representatives and I see that the news that they are fed about Africa in general comes from people who do not have any idea about Africa and who are basically told what to report. And we're not telling our stories. So the problem is, what is the story behind it is what people do not understand. What is the story behind it? And the bottom line is, we have a terrorist group who used to be a ruler for 27 years, who have pretty much taken all the money that the country has, who has resources out here in DC, New York, and everywhere else, in Paris and everywhere else, controlling the media, controlling, everyone, to government officials, corrupted. And what are they doing? They are trying to get any type of intervention so that they can come back in power. This is how bad the game is.
Wow.
And we Africans, African Americans, Black people need to wake up, because every time we see a news about an African country and how horrible they are to each other, that means it's telling you there is something of interest there. And usually it has to do with resources, because Africa has a lot of resources now. We, as the African continent, is probably the only continent that has the most important things that the rest of the world needs.
Always has.
And so all eyes on these countries, and they want regime changes based on who's going to sell and who's going to benefit us. Right. So our voice is literally not being heard. And
at the same time, just to put some point to what she's saying, the sister from Ethiopia, is that they don't want us to be controlling our own national resources, or our country ruling our own country, and based in our people, and self-reliance, for example, taken as an Eritrea path, how we want to control, which is self-reliance is just what Nipsey learned when he went back to Eritrea. When he went back to Eritrea, he sees the country is governed by black. The country is, all the students, education is free, healthcare is free, and all the region are united, all the young people from different 9 nationality, ethnic groups, they get along, they respect each other's culture. When he see this, he say, what going on in LA or United States? We killing each other brother to brother, instead of shaking hands, exchange businesses and other things. We killing each other. Who's doing this? There's somebody behind. It's a design. So for that reason, when he experienced that, there is no violence down there. He was walking all over. He see women walking at 2 o'clock in the morning. Nobody's care about it. You don't look back. Something is going to happen to you like here. So when he say, why can't we have that also in the United States? So he brought that culture. He sees all the people, one family, like I'm talking about the family value, how important it is. He did say here when he was you guys interviewed here, you have a breakfast with the whole family, and then you go back. The students go to work. To school, and whoever going from the family go to work, and then they come back to have lunch together. And she said, "How was your day?" The student is there, and then after that they go back to work, and then come back have dinner together. You see how they interact. How was their day? That family value is very important. So the same, look up here, for example, from my own experience, because you have to feed your family, you don't have no time. So you work 2 jobs. So at the end of the day, who raised the kids? The babysitter or after that, they grow up. And he goes, he talked to his daddy, say, "Hey, I'm your daddy," and this. "No, I don't know you. Who are you?" "Well, I've been working hard to feed you guys, to bring some food in the table." And the kids say, "You know what? I wish I had 1 meal a day, and you come here, spend some time with me. That would have been even better."
Wow.
This is what we have there. And at the same time, look how African American, the jail become an industry. So all the African American, because of smoking a marijuana, they put them a goddamn 10 years in jail. And then our women, they have to raise the kids, single mother, but they make them look good. "Oh, I'm a single mother." They think, but there is no father in the house. There is no role model. This is designed to happen like that. So the men, the women, they disrespect their men because they couldn't feed or they couldn't help their children. But it's not their fault. Even after they did their time in jail, when they come out, they cannot find a job.
That's real.
Because they're felony.
That's real.
So they did they pay their price, but how come they cannot vote? So what do? They involved with gangs or they being killers or whatever to survive. But they look, and then in Africa, this is what they show us. They don't show us a lot of Americans. They work hard. African American, they work 2 jobs. But what they show us, somebody go to a liquor store and do
rob it. Yeah.
They don't show us the right thing. The same thing that for you guys, they don't show you what in America. They don't show us what's going on in Africa. There's a lot of developmental. Eritrea is one of them. And they say that we don't need no handouts. We want to, help ourselves. But if we do need some help, we will welcome you. And then if America, other countries, European, they say we are looking for our interest. Okay, well, what about the other countries' interest? So we are welcome. We will protect your interest, but it has to be mutual.
Right.
So we stay in self-reliance. We're going to be on our own, because if they will control you. If they feed you or they give you the money or they control you, and then that's it. You cannot get out. Just like what they're doing now to Ethiopia and Eritrea, they sanction them, because if you don't listen to me, if you don't go with the way I want you to do, then I'm gonna, sanction.
Wow.
So what
Wait,
can people,
he wanted to say something.
When it comes to actually, if you're from the outside looking in and you're just trying to get an understanding about all this disinformation, actually there's a recent report by New Africa Institute, which we recently published back on May 9th, which goes through, it's 72 pages, has 300 references, so you could just sit there and go through all the stuff that they've lied about, the propaganda, the narratives, exactly how it works, all the stuff we've been mentioning about the details of how stuff is manufactured. what they're, all this information, this disinformation is manufactured. It's all in there. And what they're trying to do, again, I just want to emphasize, they want to take these countries to war because they represent resistance on the African continent. And this is really the last bastion of resistance there. And we all have to stand up, and there has to be a sense of urgency. So when you see something that seems like, it's a, gang rape or sexual violence or, massacre or whatever, we can't just take it at face value, because the thing is that TPLF is manufacturing this stuff, but again, they only represent 6% of the population there, but not even that 6%. They represent an elite group. A lot of them these activists are here in the diaspora that actually used, we don't have time to go into this, but just they've used migration as this policy to basically, using Eritrean identity and an Eritrean name to bring a lot of these activists from there to here, to then use them to then attack Eritrea and Ethiopia. And so we have to be very cognizant of the fact that when you're talking to somebody here and they say, hey, get behind this genocide that's going on, you have to understand that it's not, you have to be very critical. You have to have a very critical eye when you receive this information. And I know there's some people who go out, I'm not going to mention names, but certain celebrities who have caught on to some things and then kind of pulled back afterwards, feeling a little bit like, oh my God, like who was I talking to? Because tribalism is a very serious problem in Africa. And it is a sickness that exists in Ethiopia because of the almost 3 decades of a system called ethnic federalism.
What's that?
So basically, if you could just imagine in California, if we were to apply it in America, imagine you said that California is Asia land, Texas is Mexico land, Mississippi is black land, Nebraska is white land or something like that. So you just go down the list. Obviously, that's going to lead to tensions. What are you going to do? You're going to do 3 things. You're going to argue over borders and territories. You're going to fight over resources. And then you're also going to ethnically cleanse to purify your little area.
The government will fund one. I'm sure the government will fund one more than the other.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so what they did is they did this to enrich the Tigray region, but they didn't even give that money to the average Tigrayan peasant. Like I said, 1.5 million people were on food aid, even though they stole 30 billion over a 10-year period. God knows how much throughout their entire reign. So what I'm saying is that basically you have people who have looted the country, who do not represent the people, who have almost destroyed that country, but it's like a godsend. Prime Minister Abiy has risen. The people are behind him with these attacks on the Northern Command. Like they stopped that immediately, and within 3 weeks we're able to defeat it. And honestly, this is like one of the greatest victories I think in my generation. Like, it came out of nowhere. The peace deal with Eritrea, with Somalia, the change that's happening right now. There's a feeling of like we're gonna make it. We're gonna make it out of this horrible situation that we've been in for so long. And so us here in the diaspora, we're connected with our people back there always, and we feel as though we have to speak up. We have to do something, and we also understand that the these activists who come on, we feel as though they're misguided, and we have to educate them as well. So we have to be sensitive about this stuff because they instilled this identity war among the people of Ethiopia. Some of these people feel like, oh, if we don't support TPLF, we're going to lose our identity as Tigrayan people. Some of them, small few, believe that, and so we have to actively work to convince them that no, it's not the case. You have to look beyond this. It's about that love, that respect, that humanity, and all that stuff. We have to find it within ourselves now to bring us together. And then the resistance part is to stop what the United States and the EU are trying to do to Eritrea, to Ethiopia, in the name of the Tigrayan people. Because there is no proof of genocide, of ethnic cleansing. Like she said, there may be some atrocities because of in war, when things are going on, things may happen. But we can investigate that. That's not an issue. We can look into that. But when you have a fishing expedition, when somebody's just actively looking to find a problem so they can come attack you, we're not going to send you in. Let's do it the right way. So this is an African problem. We want African solutions. We don't need Western colonization, these, master coming on in trying to tell us what to do. And they can help. There's no problem with help.
That's what I was going to ask. Is there anything Americans or people outside of Eritrea can do to help, or outside of Ethiopia can do to help?
Yeah, what helps the situation and not hurts it?
I think, people need to just, be aware of it because, our representatives, our Congress reps are working on these things. as much as the regular American is not paying attention to it, they are actively functioning and working on it. I mean, Ethiopia was just sanctioned about not even 2 weeks ago, that officials from Ethiopia cannot get visa, and they're planning on economic sanctions and so forth. And all this is happening. It's just like saying, imagine Biden being sanctioned by an African country for having 19,000 people die of gunshots. Because if you ask me, that's 19,000 citizens is serious, right? And African countries sometimes are being sanctioned for people less than that number. So it's really about equality. It's really about how do we respect each other and how do we help each other if we really want to help each other, or is it a situation where it's a different type of we're colonizing and saying the U.S. is going to say stop raping your people. No, there is no government. Dr. Abiy is the Ethiopian prime minister, and he just came on 3 years ago. He has no intentions of having a group of his people raped. Just like Biden does not have any intention of having 19,000 of his citizens killed. So stop the demonizing of Ethiopian nations, or African black nations, by saying that all we're doing is killing each other. What we do need to do is, they have already promised investigation. They've already actually done investigation. They've taken some people to court. It's going to continue. But the bigger thing is that we as voters need to pay attention to foreign policy as well. That's pertaining especially to Africa. We really need to know where they stand, our representatives stand, because I'm personally very disappointed with the Democratic Party.
Same.
That I voted for. I actually prefer Trump calling us shithole countries and not coming in there and interfering the way the Democrats are interfering. I feel like the Democratic Party is using lobbyists. To me, that's corruption, right? Trump talked about that. He was absolutely right. I'm in D.C. Now lobbyists are back in D.C. making all kinds of money. This is really gangster, making decisions on other people's lives and countries. We need to wake up to that. And as black voters too, really, we shouldn't just be automatic Democratic anymore. I really dig what people like P. Diddy said. We need to stop that. We really need to have some kind of understanding that we need to know what the policies are going to be, not just for Africa, but even for within the country, policies in regards to incarceration, healthcare, everything. And right now, the Democratic Party is not delivering for us, especially in the African front.
Yeah, I think Democrats and Republicans are two wings of the same bird.
Exactly.
I just think black people, we just need something different. I don't think it's conservative either, but it's just we need something different.
I agree.
We saw what happened over this past year. It's been a year of resistance. A lot of people came out with various issues. Obviously, the police murders of black people in America is the most prominent issue, and we need to solve that. And what we're seeing is that when you go to these protests and in the streets, occasionally there's the person who gives you the hey, vote for this, whatever. We need to start looking beyond voting and actually mobilizing people on the ground. So if they're going to take Eritrea, Ethiopia to war, we shouldn't be talking about who to vote for. You can add that as a little adjunct, but at the end of the day, the most important thing is what materially are you doing to stop this? Like, what are you mobilizing people on the ground? Are you sending stuff back there to stop this problem? So I think we need to focus on that, and also the media thing. So being vocal about this thing. If you follow what we're saying, and promote our work that we're doing, because we're putting this stuff out there for everyone to understand. So hashtags like hands off Ethiopia, hands off Eritrea, things like that you can get behind. And me personally, I say join revolutionary organizations. That I believe we should start thinking about in that sense. But let's not go on that. The focus is right now is there's a war that's being pushed for a potentially NATO war. The same thing that happened to Libya. We're talking about slave markets, open slave markets in Libya. How did this happen? This is the work of the United States. This is the work of the EU. They took that country to war, destroyed that country, and that was one of the most developed countries in Africa. And so now you're looking at a similar situation where you have the last bastion of resistance could be wiped off the map, and that should strike fear in everyone. Why? Because if you lose that, where's the resistance going to come from? Like, where is the homeland for Black people, the African people worldwide? We need to have something where a pivot, where we have something where we can say we have this, we own this, we control this. And if we lose that, what do we have? So,
listen,
yes,
simple and plain. I mean, I love all the information y'all giving out. Who is the enemy? Just who is the enemy?
Greed.
I mean, it comes down to the ruling class.
Yeah,
it comes down to the ruling class.
It's greed, but then just recently we had in the Capitol we had some people just storming the Capitol and wanting the previous administration to take over. Right now, when that happened in Ethiopia, the Western world is telling us to negotiate with them. So it's a double standard. You know why? Because the reason why is because they want chaos to continue. They don't want law and order. This actual conflict was called a law operation, law enforcement operation, because it's a law enforcement operation. When someone attacks your own defense base, it's a law enforcement operation.
I think we have a common enemy for the whole world. That is, look in America. 5% of American well is controlled by 5% of the population. The rest 95% are living, paycheck to paycheck. So there's a common enemy that we need to fight here and all over the world. I'm not saying capitalism is good. I'm good for some people to, there's opportunity to grow up, there's opportunity, but it has to be balanced. So we need a government who help the majority of the people to uplift them, give them opportunity, and educate them. And once you do that, that means the country, people think it's good for business. If I make extra money, what do? I'm gonna go spend it. And the person who have a restaurant, this is simple economics 101. So, but right now, you have to work 2 jobs. Even if you work 2 jobs, you can't pay your bills, or you don't have any money left to go take your children to restaurant. So this is fundamental. It has to be changed, and the people need to wake up. Waking up meaning just I'm working. It has to be in America. You have to work 8 hours. You should be able to pay your rent. You should be able to pay all your expenses, and still you should have some money left to spend to take your children to go to movie or Disneyland, something.
Universal Studios.
Exactly. So this is the common. You see, we need to just like, for example, the 1%. There is books and stuff, and the people need to read it, and they need to get their country back. But we elect our people, and they say, our representative, okay, we're gonna do this, we're gonna do this, we're gonna do that, and we vote for them. Then once they get into office, forget them. They just listen to the lobbyists. So this need to be aware, and people need to be educated, just like you guys have this platform where you can bring people who really represent and tell what's going on.
We appreciate you guys for coming up and sharing.
Yeah. I just got a couple more questions. I was even wanted to ask about Tiffany, because I see some people mad at Tiffany, but I see you retweet her a lot, so you clearly are proud of the way she represents Eritrea, right?
Yeah, you see, because she's telling the truth, and she is have a lot of followers, and she been in Eritrea. She has seen, how the people working. Trying to build bridges, try to build water, sewages, and the construction of the country.
Hmm.
After 30 years of devastating and war, the government is doing everything it can to spend every penny for the benefit of the people, transportation, health care, and all of these things. So when she went over there and see everything, she's trying to educate American people.
Hmm.
And this one, and she have a follower. They're gonna hear her. For that is the same thing what Hermes was doing, Nip. So they don't want the awareness. So they trying to hammer her and make her look bad,
Like a bad person.
like she's supporting genocide and stuff like that.
Yep.
Wow. You know, even with Nip, you know, people love Nipsey's mindset, but a lot of his mindset was impacted by Eritrean culture. So what are the morals and values of the culture that you would tell people to tap into?
Yeah, see, both of them, Hermes and Samuel, when they were little, I used to take them to, Eritrean community. I used to take them to, like a wedding. So they started at the early age. They started learning the culture. Then they would grow up, and then when we went to Africa, to Eritrea, 2005, and they see it everything, like earlier I've been explaining to you. They see the people, the family value, and how they trying to bring together all their nationalities, and the young people, they respect each other, they respect their culture, each culture, So when he see this, he just say, hey, why can't we do it in America?
Mhm.
I can do this because he have a choice. He was because he was influenced by the neighborhood, like everybody. There's a gang violence that he cannot get out. So there's two paths. Either you're gonna continue the wrong way, or you're gonna go do the right thing.
That's
So
right.
he chose to do the right thing, but not only for himself, but also for his people. That's why he started, I gotta go this way. So that culture that he see people eating together, different culture, different ethnic group, living in peace together, and sharing their culture, enjoying it. When he see that, and peaceful, for that reason, he say, I gotta do it over here too. So he did it in his community.
Right.
Mm? And then that's why he was talking again and again. If we can happen that over there, it can happen over here too.
Hmm.
So that's what influenced him first at the early age by communicating and going to the culture. At the same time, when he go there, see it with his own eyes.
Hmm.
So he changed the game.
Okay.
Travel to
Oh,
Africa.
go ahead. You go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, so traveling, you can go
Right.
travel
See the
to
culture
Ethiopia,
itself, yeah.
travel to Eritrea.
Yeah, I always, even though I've done my DNA test and I know where I'm connected to in the motherland, I always envy people who actually have like that direct connection, like the Nipseys, like the Tiffanys.
Yeah, you're always welcome. You're always welcome to come out to.
Yeah.
You sure?
Because
Yeah,
look,
yeah,
Even with holding
yeah,
up the
we will.
flag?
look
Yeah,
at
yeah.
Okay.
Hey, you know what?
Yeah.
You're good. Anytime
Okay.
you want to come, we got you. And I also want to say, with all this disinformation stuff, it's very important because you have to really dig deep. And so there's the report that I mentioned. You can find it at newafricainstitute.org. And I want to make sure that people have the chance to go out there and check that out, download that report. Tiffany actually posted that on her Twitter page. So just want to make that available for everybody. Make sure that they can get that.
NewAfricaInstitute.org. Okay.
Well, thank you guys again for joining us.
Good.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Thank
I want
you.
to say something, First of all, I'm a New Yorker. I've been here for 4 years, first time that I came. And I went to Brandeis High School here. So thank you for giving, New Yorkers.
What part of New York?
Central Park, 84th Street Central
Oh,
Park.
Manhattan.
I think somebody showed me a
In
picture.
Louis D. Brandeis High School, I finished here.
Somebody showed me a picture of you protesting. Was it here in New York? Maybe that was LA.
Yeah, that was in New York.
That was in New York,
Yeah,
right?
that was in New York.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. So I learned a lot here. It's down to earth, the New Yorkers, and you New Yorker, you gave him love for my son, and he loved it back here. So not only here, I just want to mention how much they gave us love all over the world. How much they encourage us. Our family going through a lot, and what makes us a little better is because I'll give you example. For example, a couple of examples. You know, for example, I went to Cheesecake to eat dinner. They invited me, my friends.
Cheesecake Factory?
Cheesecake Factory.
We need you to do better, brother. We can take you to some better places.
I know.
I love
Anyway,
Cheesecake
they
Factory.
took me over there, but
Come on, Steve.
I ate. We eating over there, and there was a 10 years old having a birthday with his mother, single mother. So he saw me and he goes, "Mommy, if you want to make my birthday the best birthday I ever had, that's it. The one that's sitting over there is that Nipsey's dad. I
Wow.
want to take a picture with him."
Wow.
Then she came and she said, "I'm sorry you are eating, but you know my son is saying like this." I said, "Oh, come on, tell him, bring him over here." And I come, I hug him. He took a picture with me, and I told him, "Why did you listen to you like Nipsey?" Because I want to be like him. Because I don't have to be a rapper, but I want to be like he told us. Anything that I want to be when I grow up, I'm gonna be like him. And I work hard and everything. I was amazed, but I make his day, his birthday, beautiful because Nipsey. So that makes me feel good, and the family, how you know what he left Ermias.
Absolutely.
You know, in here. At the same time, another one. I went to visit his grave, and this guy is an Asian guy. He came over there, and he heard people passing, and he said that his dad is over there. And he came to me, "Can I talk to you?" "Go ahead." And he said, "Look, I am taking school to be a AP, physician, doctor, but I gave up. It's too much for me. But somebody suggested that listen to Nip's music. And then when I listened, it just gave me hope, and then I just graduated.
New energy, right?
And just graduated, and I became a doctor.
Wow.
Now I came here to his grave to give him my respect.
Oh.
And I just found you here, his father, coincidence, and I just want to tell you, thank you very much.
Yeah.
So when you hear these things, I say, thank you, all over the world. They're making us the family, like we didn't lost Ermias. He's still with us.
You know, I was going to ask you. I didn't want to bring it up because we were talking about other business. But you know, I was wondering, when it comes to healing, does it make it easier or harder because you hear and see Nipsey's face and name everywhere?
Well, yeah, it is very difficult. Yeah, everywhere you go, you see it. But just like I say, the love that we're getting, you know, the artists everywhere, they put him there. They just they recognize him, what kind of person he was. He gave love, and then they want to give him love. But it is the love they're giving us. Everywhere we go, you know, they give us a peace, and we're driving in a freeway. They roll their windows, and then they go like this. I mean, it is amazing. That keeps us, you know, more to heal and become stronger.
We also got to say thank you. I mean, the way he was raised, the morals, integrity. We say thank you because that energy that you gave him, he gave to the world.
That's right.
So we just say thank you.
How did the family plan to continue honoring his legacy?
Oh, yeah. See, this is very difficult, you know, but we hang in there, and we are doing everything that to keep his legacy, what he was trying to do, and we're trying to continue doing it. And a lot of things coming very soon. The Melrose, the store is going to be opening, and Cross is doing good. It's going to school, and Imani is growing. She's doing great. She's a good student. So we hang in there. The family is getting together.
Absolutely.
And Sam is working hard to do that too also. So with the support of the people patronizing us to, you know, shopping and coming, give us the support. So we're doing okay.
Well, you know,
under the circumstances.
We sending you healing energy always, sending the family healing energy always, sending Eritrea and Ethiopia healing energy always. And Yeah, thank y'all for coming,
Thank y'all so
man.
much.
No, thank you
Appreciate
so
y'all.
much for having us.
Thank you.
It's the Breakfast Club. Good
Absolutely.
morning.